You know that feeling when you finish a story and you just know there's something more hiding under the surface? Well, you're right. Every story, especially the old folklore tales, is kind of like a crime scene. It's just packed with clues and hidden meanings. So today, we're going to learn how to put on our detective hats and uncover all of it. So do they? Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, way beyond just the cool plots and the characters you remember, there's this whole other world of secrets just waiting. We're talking about cultural values, big moral lessons, even emotions that are never spoken out loud. And it's all just hiding in plain sight. We just need to learn how to see it.
Okay, so the key to this whole investigation, it really comes down to these two big ideas. On one side, you've got the explicit meaning. That's just what the story says, plain and simple. Think of this as our hard evidence, the facts of the case. But then you've got the implicit meaning. This is what the story suggests or hints at, and that's where we really start connecting the dots and solving the mystery.
All right, first things first. Every good detective knows you start by gathering the facts, right? You secure the scene. For us, that means we're going to focus on the surface details first, the explicit stuff.
So what is explicit meaning? Well, it's literally everything the author spells out for you, right there in the text. There's zero guesswork needed. It's the who are the characters, the what, what's actually happening, and the where is this all going down? You can think of it like collecting fingerprints or interviewing witnesses. It's the solid, undeniable foundation for our entire case.
So, what kind of clues are we talking about here? Well, first up, the characters. The story will flat out tell you if you're dealing with a hard-working widow or, say, a mischievous monkey. Then there's the setting. Is it a dense forest? Maybe a coastal village? The text will say. And of course, the events. The boy climbed the mountain. Super straightforward, right? These are our hard facts. They're the basic building blocks for everything else.
And look, I know this might seem obvious, but this step is so important. Why? Because if you just jump straight to your own theories without getting the facts straight, you're going to misread the whole thing. By starting with these explicit details, you're building a solid, evidence-based foundation. It keeps your whole investigation grounded and sets you up perfectly for the next step.
Okay, we've got our evidence bag full of facts. Now comes the really fun part. We're going to start interpreting those clues and unlock the story's deeper hidden secrets.
This is it. This is the question that every great detective asks, right? We know what happened, but why? What does it all mean? What was the motive here? This is where we make that big shift from the what to the why.
And that brings us to implicit meaning. This, my friends, is the real heart of the mystery. It's all the ideas, the feelings, the values that are just hinted at. They're never spelled out for you. This is the why it matters. And it means we have to start reading between the lines, making smart guesses or inferences based on all that evidence we collected. This is where the real detective work really kicks in.
Let's look at how this actually works. It's all about going from fact to inference. So the story might say a forest is dark and silent. That's the explicit fact. But what does that suggest? Well, implicitly, that forest probably symbolizes fear or danger. Or take this one, the giant chased Tim and Moss. Okay, that's the event. But implicitly, that giant could easily represent something bigger, like human greed. Even something as small as a character sighing at the ocean, that sigh can imply a whole world of worry, or maybe longing for something that's on.
So how do you actually do this? How can you get good at finding these hidden meanings? Well, here's your official detective toolkit. First, really watch what characters do, not just what they say. Actions speak louder than words, right? Second, be on the lookout for patterns. Are certain words or symbols or images popping up over and over again? That is a massive clue. Third, get a feel for the tone, the atmosphere. Is the story tense? Is it happy? And finally, think about the cultural context. This is especially true for folklore, which is just loaded with cultural values that can unlock the whole thing.
And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. The setting itself is a clue. So when a sudden storm rolls in, it probably isn't just about bad weather. It's way more likely that it's reflecting a character's inner chaos. Or when you see a single ray of light breaking through the clouds after a dark scene. That's hope, right? The environment is practically screaming hints at you, clues about all these unspoken feelings.
Okay, so you've learned how to gather the facts and you've learned how to interpret the clues. Now it's time to bring it all home. In this last part, we're going to put both of those skills together so you can become a master interpreter of pretty much any story you come across. And here's the most important part. These two layers, the explicit and the implicit, they aren't separate things. A true master interpreter sees them both at the exact same time. You start to understand how the surface details, the what, were chosen on purpose to build up to that deeper message, the why. And when you can see that connection, oh man, that's when a story's real power just clicks into place.
And what do you actually find when you start reading this way? You uncover this whole richer world hiding in the story. You'll start spotting the social norms, things like the importance of respecting your elders. You'll find this deep wisdom about nature and what happens when we don't respect it. You'll start to really get entire cultural worldviews and see these powerful moral lessons about things like kindness, humility, and why working together is so important. You can really think of it as leveling up your reading skills. At the first level, you've got surface reading. You're just getting the explicit facts. Then you level up to deep reading, where you're connecting those facts to the implicit meanings. But the ultimate goal, the final level, is master interpretation. That's where you're putting it all together, synthesizing both layers into one single, powerful understanding.
And that, right there, is really the biggest takeaway. This isn't just some boring classroom exercise. Learning this skill will fundamentally change how you experience stories forever. Seriously, you go from being a passive reader, just kind of along for the ride, to being an active literary detective. You're engaging with the story, you're asking questions, and you're the one uncovering all its deepest secrets.
So, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about your absolute favorite story. It could be a book, a movie, maybe a tale you heard as a kid. Now that you have the detective's toolkit, what hidden messages are just sitting there, waiting for you to find them? The investigation is all yours. Get to it.